Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome to Jennifer's Perspective. And today, this evening, my very special guest is the one and only Mr. Juan P. Barrientenz.
Yes. That is quite
Barrientenz,
well. Most people
really?
don't get that close. But you said it perfectly.
Barrientenz.
Yes, yes.
Barrientez from Oklahoma and from the Next Step Financial Partners LLC. Everyone, welcome
Thank you, thank you.
Mr. Juan Barrientez. And for those of you who don't know who Mr. Barrientez is, Juan Barrientez, aka Brother Juan, is a passionate visionary who who his passion and desire is to see your financial success, both in your personal life as well as your business life. He is a family man, an ordained Christian minister, and a partner to the entrepreneur. His wife, he is married to the beautiful Miss Kizzy. He has four children, and he is also a grandpa. He is the owner of the Next Step Financial Partners LLC in tax and accounting. He is also the pastor of Shield of Faith Baptist Church in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. He is the chairman of the board with Jesus Mission, with Jesus's established in Haiti and the Dominican Republic. He has an education, wow, his accolades. He has a BA in business management from Phoenix University, a graduate certificate in accounting from Keller Graduate School of DeVry, Masters of Accounting and Financial Management with distinction at Keller Graduate School of DeVry. He has also a BA of Anderson Theological Seminary. He has a Master's of Pastoral Theology at Andersonville Theology Seminary, a Doctorate of Christian Counseling in progress at the Andersonville Theology, and an honorary doctorate of divinity from Mount Carmel Biblical Institute. Wow, you have been busy. Oh my
Yes. Thank you. God bless you. Thank
God.
you. Thank you.
Honor and respect. Honor and
Thank you.
respect.
Thank you.
Now, can the microphone is all yours. Can you just give us a little bit of background of where you started from, and then you can just lead into your company and how you got into that field?
Okay. Well, first of all, just thank you. I appreciate this opportunity to be on your platform, and thank you for sharing your community with me. I truly appreciate that you thought enough about me to allow me to come on here, and it's been a pleasure meeting you as well, as well. And so, just to start off, I am a man of many facets, I would say. And I just want to start off with my Christian background first. I am a PK, pastor's kid, growing up in a pastor's home. Once I become of age, I do like many PKs do, and just kind of veer off on my own way and do my own thing. And life begins to happen. And so experienced a wake-up call by being arrested for 2 felonies, and knew it was time to get my life right. Listening to Bishop Charles E. Blake one Sunday while I was at home. I could have been at church. I was at home, and he's preaching from the book of Mark, chapter 8, verse 34. Jesus said, if you must deny me, pick up your cross. If you desire to come after me, he said, you must deny me, pick up your cross, and follow me. And so God was definitely speaking to me about a work that he had for me to do. And so at that time, I decided to get back in church. I also decided to go back to school, and it was in 2001. The Lord allowed me to become a deacon in the church. And at that time, I decided to transition schools. I began to go to the University of Phoenix as well as Andersonville Theological Seminary. I wanted to, one, take care of my family the best way possible, and that was through education. And then I also wanted a biblical education so that I could support the church in religious education. And just growing, I began to also work on websites. And that was my first business, and I still do websites today as well. I don't necessarily advertise it, but I do. And then in 2017, I began to do taxes professionally under someone else. In 2019, I formed Next Step Financial Partners, LLC, and we began the first year doing taxes seasonal. And it's always been my goal to transition into a full-time firm, and that's what we decided to do as a result of COVID. And me losing my primary source of income, decided to go ahead and began to operate Next Step as a full-time firm. So we added bookkeeping and accounting as well as taxes, and we are looking to expand with other services as well. And so my primary target market, or my niche, is Christian life coaches, consultants, course creators, and solopreneurs. And so it is my job to, I always say, I like to help the helpers. As a Christian life coach, I look at that as a part of discipleship. And nobody goes into business to worry about bookkeeping. Nobody goes into business to worry about taxes. And so that's where I come in. I am the helper's helper. I give you your time back so that you can concentrate on what you want to do, and that is helping other people. So I'm the helper's helper, is what I like to call myself.
Oh my gosh. Now, I'm sitting here and you have literally, how long were you in school to get your BA in business management, and then you have your master's of accounting and financial management, and you also have a BA in ministry of theology, and
Yes.
you really believe in education?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh my gosh.
I love to learn.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Now, listen, we can be honest. We're going to be open. When from the time that you had your little incident and you had your little run-in with the police, what made you decide that you did not want to be a resident of the state penal system? Uh,
It
like,
was being down at the Oklahoma County Jail for I think maybe about 10 hours. I knew I didn't want to go back. And I
oh,
definitely didn't want to end up in a state penitentiary. State of Oklahoma ranks #1 in women incarceration. Uh,
really?
and I believe we rank #2 in men behind the state of Texas.
Are you serious?
Yes, yes. Oklahoma, the private prison industry in the state of Oklahoma is one of our top industries. So prisoners are flown here from all across the country to be housed in our penitentiaries.
Listen, I worked up until the beginning of the pandemic when they had the first lockdown in the medical department in the state of New Jersey's penal system. In the medical department, I ran the lab as the lab technician and the phlebotomist, and they was flying in prisoners from all over the country. And I'm saying to myself, okay, I wasn't really happy there as an employee. I do not want to be there as a daggone resident.
Right.
So when so when I got literally at the height of what was happening, was it at the height of, I guess, Trumpism, when the racism was just starting and the systemic racism? I ended up getting fired.
Hmm.
I got fired because why? But no, laid off, but God closed that door.
Right.
Let me tell you something. Five of my coworkers, the nurses, when I say they were dropping dead, they was dying from the pandemic. And 400, it's 1,000 person facility institute, and 400, half the staff was infected with COVID. And how many of the COs? Almost what, five COs was dying, and the employees was dying, and I'm like, okay, then now they're understaffed in the medical department, and I'm juggling my hat as the lab tech. Then I started helping out in the nurses station, and then they had a new supervisor. And I know, when you're new and you come in, you try to prove yourself. And
Right.
basically, I didn't have the authority to change the name on some of the documents.
Right.
Someone in that office changed it, I think, and put her name as the put her name ended up as the practitioner, that all the lab results and the COVID results was supposed to go to her. I didn't have the authority to do that. How did her name get on the document? And she tried to tell me, uh, we need to talk to you, and this was the issue. So I'm an investigative type of person. Let me call to find out who authorized this. And she says to me, no, leave. Give me the keys. And I didn't say, I was like, here, lady.
You can have.
And I was like, here's the keys. And I didn't say anything. I didn't argue. Like, I didn't have the authority to do that at the time. So you must have had the authority to put your own name on the document. And when stuff goes bad, don't, hello, hello. I ain't say nothing. I was like, okay, then. When God closed that door, he opened up this. He opened up the podcast. He opened up the world to me.
Right.
And my attitude, and I tell people all the time, your attitude. If I would have went off and be like, da, 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 all I kept saying when I got outside in the parking lot, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, thank you. I just kept saying thank you.
Yes. No matter what, we have to trust in Him. You know, he knows the beginning from the end. He knows the process in between,
Yeah.
and we don't. So we have to trust him to lead us and guide us. So even when the bad happens, Romans 8:28, for we know that all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. I say all the time that means the good, the bad, and the ugly. He's in control, and we have to trust Him. He knows better than me.
I
And so
mean,
even when that bad and ugly comes along, you say, Lord, I don't know what you have planned, but I trust you.
I'm like, I'm like, okay. And then I started the company. And as I started the company, everything that I needed to build the company and to expand my business came through Jennifer's perspective. They start like, and this is where sometimes I say, if God gives you a dream, you understand, I had to go to school part time for almost 10 years just to get those two classes at a time, two classes at a time, and know that it took you forever. Well, to get two double BAs, get a master's degree. But the thing is, I give you honor and respect. You want to know why, Ron? Honor and respect because you did not give up on yourself. You
Amen.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I understand.
You valued you enough and enough respect for you not to quit on your own dream.
Amen.
And
Thank you. Thank you.
I have
Appreciate
to
that.
respect that. I have to respect that. Let me tell you something. I have four brothers. My mother's a single mother. I have four brothers and three additional sisters. And They're my support system. At that time, they was my support system. And they didn't give up on me. Why? Because I didn't give up on me.
Amen.
And a lot of people think that it's the process, and it is in the process that your character gets developed. You
Yeah.
understand, you gain wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I couldn't do this 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or whatever. But now I'm interacting with all kinds of people because I'm still developing and evolving. Now, you work with coaches. Why did you pick that area to help them with their business?
Well, again, in general,
Mm,
coaches help people
mm,
and help them get from point A to point B
mm,
to improve them. And that's coaches in general. Then again, with Christian life coaches, I look at it as discipleship. And so again, I desire to be the helper's helper. And no one goes into business to worry about administrative tasks, marketing, the bookkeeping, taxes. But that is a part of being in business.
mm,
And so I come along to help the helper. One thing we do is we allow them to get their time back. If you are bogged down with your bookkeeping every week, every month, if you're having to worry about taxes, then you are not focusing on your clients.
mm,
So that gives you more time back to focus on your clients, whether you're a coach, a consultant,
mm,
course creator, entrepreneur, solopreneur. Uh, Outsourcing your bookkeeping gives you time. And
mm,
then looking at taxes as a whole, I am one who tries and preach and teach entrepreneurship
mm,
because entrepreneurship is the best way to take advantage of our tax code in the United States. You
mm,
can look at a W 2 employee and you can look at a business owner and say both of them make $50,000 a year, just to throw a number out there. And the business owner's profit was 50,000. The W-2 worker brings home 50,000. Well, that business owner is allowed to take additional deductions to reduce their taxable income. It does not change how much money they made, but if they're spending money already, some things can help reduce taxable income. Just think about three primary things that we need in life: food, shelter, and clothes on our back. Well, if you
mm,
operate a home-based business, if you're employed for yourself and you take a client out to eat lunch, well, 50% of that meal can be a deduction. Now, if you're
mm,
going to spend that money anyway, why not get a benefit out of it to allow it to reduce your taxable income? You did it anyway. You ate anyway with a client. You paid for it. So you're not really out of any more money, but now that is a deduction that you can take on your taxes. We're operating a home-based business. You have utilities, you have phone, you have internet. Well, operating a home-based business, having an office in your home, allows you to deduct a portion of your utilities and your
mm,
mortgage payment
mm,
as a business deduction.
mm.
Close
Now,
it. Oh, go
here's
ahead.
here's the thing. Because a lot of businesses, I had two offices. One was in Atlanta, and I had an office here in New Jersey. And due to the pandemic, I had to close my office in Atlanta because pandemic. So
Okay.
now at one point I plan to reopen it again, but in the meantime, then I had to close the office in Hackensack, and now I'm working from out of my home. So
Yes.
now, it's tax season right now, and for a lot of people, especially small businesses that either had to close due to the pandemic, now they're operating a small business from out of their home. Can
Yes.
you share with us how can you share with us how to what can they deduct? Where can they save? Where can they be reimbursed on, I guess, the rent, they even had to break the lease or something. Like, can you tell them how to help them? What they can write off on their taxes, where they can save?
Well, you are spending the money anyway to live in your home. And so by having that home office, again, there's certain stipulations, there's certain criteria that come into play. But let's just say that you have trying to make the numbers even, 1,800 square feet, and your home office is 300, and so that is 1/6 of 1,800. And so your mortgage, or even if you rent, 1/6 of that payment can be a business expense.
Mm-hmm.
Your electricity bill, 1/6 of that becomes a business expense.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Oklahoma, we have electricity, we have gas, 1/6 of business expense. Your phone, if you don't have a specific business phone, your home phone, if you use it for business, is 1/6 of that expense as well. And so you're spending that money anyway. This is why I say that entrepreneurship takes advantage of the tax code, because if you're a W-2 employee who, because of the pandemic, you're having to work from home, you can't take any of those deductions. Mm-hmm. So it's not going to change your taxable income. But as a business person who's making the same amount of money, well, they get additional tax breaks to reduce their taxable income. They're not. It's not. They're not losing any more money, but they're able to take advantage of the taxes. I mean, and even with we talked about food, clothing. I mean, food, shelter, and clothing. The shirt that I have on right now, we wear clothes. We buy clothes,
and that would be considered a uniform. It's a business deduction.
It has a business logo on it, so it's a business deduction. Whereas a suit that I might buy to wear to church may not qualify as a business deduction, but this shirt does. It's a uniform shirt. Mm-hmm. And I have to buy clothes, so why not buy clothes that I can deduct as well as advertise, market?
As well as market and promote the company and the business.
Right, especially if you are a solopreneur, if you have a home-based business, if you are the person, the face, why not? It doesn't have to be a shirt. It could be a polo shirt, be a t-shirt, change it up.
Okay, now how much square footage? This space that I'm operating from is my office. Now, how much square footage can you deduct on your taxes? You can write off a room that you're using as an office. Can you use write off if you make any changes say you had to get a desk and you have to get a printer and you have to put paint? Can you write those things off?
Well, the IRS code, there are criteria and requirements. But in general, as far as the space, you are limited to 300 square feet. Mm-hmm. So I used 1,800 square feet earlier, but if you have a room, you can take the measurements of the room and figure out how many square feet. But let's say that room is 300 square feet and the total of your living space is 1,000. Well, that's almost 1/3 rather than 1/6. Mm-hmm. All right, and so that space has to be a dedicated space. It does not have to be a room, but it has to be a dedicated space. And so paying someone, and if you have teenage children, paying your teenage children to come in and paint, that's a business expense.
Okay.
Buying furniture,
that's a business expense. Okay.
A business expense. If you want to redecorate your office, buy a new computer desk. Those are business expenses. Buy some plants, and that's something I hope to do eventually, is buy some plants, because I really don't have anything on the wall behind me. But I don't know if I'm going to buy real plants or fake plants, but I want to put some greenery in here. And so that's a business deduction. It also will help with aesthetics, because I broadcast on the internet from my office for church as well as do lives for the business. And it's just books and degrees behind me. And I want to put some more color back there.
Okay, now you can write off certain things such as can you even write off the internet expense as a business expense?
Oh yeah, you can write off the internet if you don't have a
This is
dedicated.
where they can save.
Yes, if you don't have a dedicated line for your business at home, then your home internet is, again, it's a utility. So a portion of that would be a business expense. Your cell phone,
Mm.
if you're using it for business, it's a business expense.
Now, can you, for those of us, for those that are listening, because you have several people that are in school right now to becoming life coaches, can you just give them the difference between what is the difference between an LLC and an S corp, or should they become incorporated or a sole proprietor, or should
Well, as far as the IRS code, there's no difference between a single member LLC and a sole proprietor.
hmm
But the LLC affords you legal protection. It limits the liability to the assets of that corporation and not your personal assets. And
hmm
so, if you are starting a life coaching business, I would strongly suggest that even before you begin training, to go ahead and get an LLC.
hmm
Having the LLC, you must also run it like a business. You can't mix your personal and business. You can't commingle funds. You should run it like a business. And I say before you get training, because your training is a tax deductible expense. And so if you're doing that as a business, you can deduct it. But if you're doing it as an individual, you can't. And so go ahead and incorporate before you do your training,
hmm
because that's a deductible business expense. Right. And then with the S Corp, I know one of the fast today people are talking about S Corps. Starting out, you probably don't need one, but as you become more established, as your revenue increases, you definitely want to look into that. One of the requirements as an S Corp is you are required to take a reasonable salary. So if you're not at a point where you can pay yourself a reasonable salary, then you're not going to benefit from being an S Corp.
Okay, so you recommend that you put yourself, if you are a sole proprietor business,
Mm-hmm.
do you recommend that I put myself on my own payroll and pay myself a salary
Yeah.
as an employee? Okay. What any other golden nuggets that
Well, um, like I say, you take the time to to do espionage.
mm,
Learn from what others are doing.
mm,
Even if you follow from afar, don't just follow to follow, but follow to learn about what they're doing. One thing, and I'll throw this out here that I've noticed since I specifically target Christian life coaches. One thing I've noticed is one of the biggest things that people have problems with is marketing, getting exposure.
mm,
So here's the thing. I visit many people's pages on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, but the page does not really speak to what they do.
mm,
And so they're missing a golden opportunity because your social media site, personal and business, is real estate on computer or on a cell phone for you to advertise about what you do. And so
mm,
if people don't know, then they don't know. But if you are in groups and you're active and you're adding value to those groups, people will notice you. They will click on your profile to see who you are and what you're about. And if your profile does not speak to that, I'm talking about your header. I'm talking about the stuff that you post. All of that is advertising, and it should speak to who you are and what you do as a life coach, as a consultant, as an individual. It shouldn't be all business, but you should definitely have some business as well as call to action. Call to action. It's not just posting a nice saying, but what do you want them to do as a result of it? Whether it's engage in conversation, or whether it's say, hey, go ahead and book a call. Go ahead and schedule a meeting. Go ahead and look at, my particular program on my website. People have to be told what to do.
Exactly.
Sign up for my email or something.
Yes.
And so many times that's the biggest thing that I see and that I hear is marketing and getting that exposure. How do I get more clients? Well, everything you do has to speak to it. The clothing. When you go to the supermarket.
That's marketing.
Yes, when you go to the supermarket, having that t-shirt on, life coach, ask how I can help you. Put that on the back of the shirt. Life is crazy. I know. How can I support you? How can I help you? Just ask, and have those business cards ready to give out, or even with your cell phone. When you meet somebody, don't just hand them a card. So let me go ahead and sign you up for my email list.
Exactly.
Right there. And you put your phone, put their name and their email address. So now you're not waiting for them to contact you. You have a way to contact them because you place them on your email list.
Exactly.
And I don't even do marketing, but that's something that I've noticed.
Well, you learn this. These are things that you learn when you're growing and developing your business. And my book, Marketing Basics Led by the Spirit, believe it or not, is everything that I have learned just to get the business up and running. Because when you're in school, they'd be like, okay, here's the certification in whatever area. Then I had to take a small business class just so that I can learn to run the business.
Right.
So now, say it again.
I need to get a copy of that book.
It's available on Amazon.
On Amazon? Okay.
On Amazon.com, and it's Marketing Basics, Spirit Lit.
Yeah.
Marketing Basics Led by the Spirit. And it has a lot of links to save some time that, if you need certain information, you need information. I need information.
Yeah.
And no one was telling me where to get the information. So I actually, document and keep pretty organized. And okay, this is where you go to find this information, find this information, find this information. And
Yes.
it can actually help save new people starting out as coaches and business owners. Well, coaches and counselors, and it's good for small business owners as well, to help them to just get started. It takes a lot of the guesswork. It's a step by step by step by step what to do. The only thing I didn't put in there was how to register with the Chamber of Commerce within their city. I had to find that out. I found that out after. I'm like, okay, then when I do the next edit.
Add in more information.
When I do the next edit, I'll add it into the book. Now, tell me, tell me, Juan. Now, in the area of financial management, with financial management, like right now, a lot of people, it's tax season.
Yeah.
How can you help people? Do you do investing? Do you help with investing?
We don't do investing, but we do help with tax planning. So we can take all of your information and look at the tax advantages, or look at your particular situation, and based upon where you want to be in life in the next 10, 20 years, or longer, then suggest certain tax advantages or strategies to help you to achieve that, to reduce your tax liability or defer your tax liability. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you can also do, I guess, with the tax season, there's so much going on right now.
Oh yes.
There's so much going on right now with the PPP for small businesses. Do you have any information for those that are? A lot of businesses had to close during the pandemic. Do you have information for them as well?
Well, yeah, with the PPP, you can definitely take advantage of that. Being a sole proprietor, being a single member LLC, you have to have been in business. I believe it's February. It's a date in February of 2020. You have to be in business before then, and you can apply. There's many places to apply. I have been assisting people with applying for PPP loans, because just sometimes you just don't know what to do or where to go, and so I'm here to help with that as well.
Mhm.
But in general, it can be the first draw. If you haven't had the first draw of the PPP, it can be based on your 2019 Schedule C, and it is based upon a portion of that. The loans can be forgivable if you use it in the way that it's intended. 60% of it has to be used for payroll, and if you're a single member LLC, you are payroll. and so, and so 60% of it has to be used for that in order for it to be forgiven. And so you have to document how you use the loan. But even if it's not forgiven, you have up to 5 years at 1% to pay back that loan. Those are the terms of the loan if it's not forgiven. And so it's virtually free money. And so even sole proprietors, single member LLCs, even if you are in the gig economy or just a 1099 employee, filing that Schedule C in 2019 can determine how much money you get. And you take that number, I believe it's from line 31 on the Schedule C, divide it by 12, and then multiply it to 2.5. And so it's only 25% of line 31 on your Schedule C is the amount that you can qualify for the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP.
Now, here, how long would you have to be in business in order to qualify? In order to qualify for that loan?
You only have to have been in business before in February 2020. I can't remember the exact date, but February 2020, you had to have been in business before then.
Oh, wow. Now, with the closing of well, I guess with some small businesses, I just feel so bad for them.
Yeah,
Because listen, small business, you know that, and I know that. We don't produce anything in the United States. What do we produce in the United States? We don't manufacture anything.
provide
So
services.
the small business is the infrastructure of the country. Now, how this pandemic is going to last for what, another year?
Yeah.
Year and a half? How do you have any advice for them to to help ride out the pandemic, to help make it in the pandemic? Because this is something, is not just affecting Black people, white people, Indian people, Spanish people. It is affecting small business owners, people who have boutique shops and coaching business. How do you have any advice to help them to get them through the pandemic?
Yeah, for my target market, it's very interesting. A lot of people have the same kind of story you do, where you had to give up a physical location and become virtual, and so taking advantage of
To become online, have
right,
online presence.
right.
Listen, Can I tell you something? I remember. Listen, this is God. To God be the glory. Let me tell you, when God dropped this online thing in my spirit, I was still in school, and I was still doing my homework on my lunch break. And I would sit there, and then he was like, do online, like online classes. So now I had to create my own digital curriculum for my own coaching students. And then with the Zoom and the internet, and thank God he had given me enough wisdom to make a decent investment. And I made the investment into Netflix. And I'm sitting here now and I'm saying to myself, God foreknew what it was that I was going to need at a particular time, whatever. And I sit here and I'm saying to myself, is this my whim? Am I leaning on my own understanding? But then in Psalms, what is it 20? Not Psalms 23, Psalms 20, 33, I think, that he gives me the desires of my heart. So if he puts something on my heart, whether I desire it, it has to be something that God is giving me to do. And I'm saying to myself, now, do you help also with 501c3s?
Well, I can. It's not necessarily something I specialize in, but yeah, we can definitely help out nonprofits as far as accounting and taxes. It is available. We do individual and business taxes, and as well as nonprofit. We provide. I'm an authorized e-filer for all tax returns. One thing I do want to say, as far as with taxes, this has been a very interesting year because of stimulus payments, because of unemployment.
Do
I
you
don't know
have
who all is going to listen, but go ahead.
Do you okay, if you have to report all of that on your tax return for 2021, is that correct? Because it is considered income?
Well, as far as well, first of all, with unemployment is it's unearned income, but it is taxable income. And so a lot of people who did not have the taxes taken out for unemployment are going to be in a big surprise, because you're going to have to pay taxes on that money. And if you did not have it taken out, it's going to be due. With the stimulus payments are actually, they were advances on refundable credits for the 2020 tax return. And so those have to
Really?
be accounted for.
Mm.
It's not going to change your income tax, your tax return, but it has to be accounted for. So if you received it, then you have to let the government know that you received it. It has to be reconciled.
Mm.
If you did not receive a payment and you are due a payment, then you will get the payment by filing your taxes, because it's a refundable tax credit. So, and
A
they
lot of people,
use,
a lot of people didn't know. A lot of people don't know that.
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And then another thing that with the COVID bill that was passed in December, just last month, which is a reason why the IRS has delayed e-filing season by about 2 weeks. One thing they implemented was a look back for 2019 as far as the earned income tax credit, which is designed for low income people to receive a refund, because of so many people were unemployed. And unemployment again is earned income. You can't use that amount for the earned income tax credit. So one thing they did is allow people to look back to their 2019 earned income to qualify for 2020 earned income tax credit, which is a great benefit, because otherwise a lot of people who file unemployment wouldn't be able to take advantage of the earned income tax credit, because unemployment is unearned income. It doesn't calculate into the earned income tax credit. And so that's one thing that they did with the COVID bill, which I'm glad they did. It's going to provide relief for a lot of people. But that's one of the reasons the IRS has delayed
And
the filing season.
Wow. This is really good information. I didn't even know that. Oh my God. Thank you.
And I just want to add one thing because we talked about taxes, but I want to focus on bookkeeping
Hmm.
because so many entrepreneurs do not keep an accurate record of their books, and it's very important to do that because as a business owner, we have to know our numbers. We have to know what's coming
Exactly.
in.
Yes.
We
Yes.
have to know
Yes.
what's going
Yes.
out. If you don't know, how do you know you're actually making money? How do you know what you're doing is actually profitable? Looking at the money that you spend to acquire a new client or a new customer. How do you know that you know how much money does it take? How much money is that one client or customer worth? Are you spending more to acquire them than what you will make on the lifetime of that client? And so it's very important to know our numbers so that we know that we're being profitable, as well as maybe places that we can make adjustments. You know, your different marketing campaigns that you have online. You, by knowing numbers, you know which one brings you the most for the least amount of money. The return on investment is so important to know our numbers, and it begins with bookkeeping. And there's so many ways to organize and keep your books as a solopreneur. If you are not ready to outsource, you know, there's software available, whether you go to the
And what
store.
do you recommend? Intuit, QuickBooks,
Well, you know, QuickBooks has pretty much become this.
TurboTax?
But I will say this: QuickBooks has a high learning curve. I know when I first started with QuickBooks, you know, I was treasurer at the church for quite a few years, so I kept the books for the church. And so I had a program for it. It was very simple and straightforward. And then when I began looking at QuickBooks, I had to learn it because it was not as straightforward as I thought it should be. But once you understand it, you understand it. But you know, most entrepreneurs don't have the time to learn QuickBooks to understand it. But there are other programs, software, online cloud software that you can use for accounting, and you can just do a search for free accounting software and see what's out there, what's available, and just experiment with different ones and see which ones
Do
you
the research you recommend.
right,
Do
see
the
which ones you
research.
like. And YouTube is a great resource for
Hmm.
learning how to use different software. And if you are, of course, in a position where you say, hey, I'm ready to just give it up and outsource it, those services are available. We provide those, but maybe you can find somebody locally. But we definitely do provide those. And, you know, I go beyond just basic bookkeeping because I look at my clients as partners. And so I want to help them succeed. And so we practice value based bookkeeping. And so it's more than just keeping the books. It's I want to know where you want to go as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a coach. Where do you want to go with your finances? Because now we put together a plan to help you succeed. And so, therefore, I become a partner, which means I hold you accountable. You said you wanted to do this. Well, this is
Hmm.
what we have to do. So you have to make these steps if you want to go where you said you want to go. I didn't say you wanted to go there. You said,
Hmm.
and so you have somebody in me who holds you accountable, as well as keeping the numbers and looking at the numbers, and we have to know the numbers in order to make decisions.
Do you also help them? Do you also assist them with the financial planning?
Financial planning, as far as what? Can you give me an example?
Okay. Say, okay, if you would like to have branch off, if you would like to a 501c3, okay? you have your own business and you would like to also have a nonprofit. Okay. One is for potential income. One is for income because this is your business, and the other one is a nonprofit.
Yes.
Now, do you help them with the financial planning and the grand writing for whatever particular plan that they have in place?
That is definitely something we've been looking into. Because one advantage as a life coach, 501c3 is a nonprofit. And so if you have a program that can be for the purpose of community, being available for the community, then as a nonprofit, you can apply for grants to help fund your programs or create a program based upon the grant that you are looking at. And so that is, and as a nonprofit, you can pay yourself as an administrator, but again, the purpose of a nonprofit is not profit, but it can be a benefit to you to offer your services to the community and take advantage of grants that may be available to help you fund the program as well as pay yourself within that nonprofit. And so, business formation, we do help with business formation. We are looking at possibly helping people with grants because again, if I'm going to help you form an LLC, I mean not LLC, help you form a nonprofit 501c3, and your purpose is community development or community outreach, then I want to also provide the next step and help next step and help you. I did that unconsciously, but I do it all the time to help you take that next step in secure funding through grants. And so grant writing is something that we are looking at for this coming year to help people take, again, those next steps.
Oh my gosh, you perform so many services. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Well, I
You
try
are
to be the helper's helper. And so I'm looking at
listen.
ways to help people, shore up their business. And again, starting that nonprofit is a great idea, especially if you're already providing a service. And so
Mhm.
it can even be, using the nonprofit in grants to help subsidize low income people who cannot otherwise afford your service.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. This is, oh my God, we really need to talk afterwards. Woo. Oh my gosh. You offer so many services to your clients. Is we have like a few more minutes. Do you have any more golden nuggets? Because you are like like a vault of information right now. And right now, people, especially women in business, small business owners, they need information to help them, I guess, to either recover from the pandemic or to at least stabilize, because you have companies that are going into filing
Yeah.
bankruptcy. You have so much stuff that is going on right now. You know that this pandemic has not been
Right.
kind to too many people.
Right.
You understand? So
Yes.
how do you help them? The information that you have right now, I'm telling you.
Yes. There is a lot of uncertainty
Mhm.
dealing with. And so we are at a time where you as a business owner, you in general as a business owner,
Mhm.
have to look at those expenses. What
Mhm.
can you cut?
Mhm.
Because the more expenses you cut, the less revenue you have to make to cover those expenses and to make a profit. And so, we're at a time where we have to really think about trimming the fat. What
Mhm.
can we really do without sacrificing the service that we are already providing? What can we really do without?
Mhm.
And so, you may have to look at that even from a personal standpoint, within
Mhm.
your own personal life, because again, if you can cut that in your own personal life, then that helps the business as far as not being able to need to have that revenue to sustain your life. And so if revenues do decrease, it doesn't hurt as bad. And also thinking long term, having a savings helps in times like this. And even with being
Well, with the
self-employed.
pandemic, come on, you know how many people have gone through their savings? That's why they had to come up with the PPP
Right.
to help the small businesses
And
because
I said long term. That's not going to help you right now. But thinking in the future, one thing that I do, like with if you are self-employed, you have to pay quarterly self-employment tax. If not,
you have to pay yourself. You have to pay yourself as you have to put yourself on the payroll.
right?
Is that what you're saying? Okay. As a sole proprietor business, you have to put yourself on the payroll.
Yeah,
You
and
understand? Because you are an employee of the company. Is
right,
that
right. You should again, knowing your numbers. It begins there. Knowing your numbers, deciding how much you need to pay yourself a week. And I'm not speaking of actual payroll, but you write yourself a check and you deposit it in your personal checking account. That's your payment. But along with that, with self-employment taxes, small businesses pay between 8 and 20%. And so 8 to 20% of your revenue should be set aside to pay your quarterly income tax, your quarterly self-employment income tax. But I always suggest, well, and some people suggest 25, but I always suggest 30%. And it sounds like a lot, but that 30% is going to cover your self-employment taxes, as well as at the end of the year, it provides a savings for you to give yourself a bonus. And so
wow?
it provides a way for you to pay yourself, and then that bonus can be used for like a family vacation, can be used to, for something to treat yourself. Again, because, you working for yourself, you're not going to get a bonus that you did when you work for somebody else. If you got a bonus, a lot of people don't do that these days, but it's a way for you to reward yourself for for hard work that you did throughout the year.
Uh,
Like I say, it can fund a family vacation. It can, maybe not even a family vacation, but just a vacation for you or something that you do to spoil yourself.
okay. Wow. Now, let me tell you something. I'm so glad. Can you come back again as my guest?
Anytime. I appreciate the opportunity to share, and it's been a pleasure meeting you as well.
Come back. Come back again as my guest and say, like, okay, this is what's happening. I think I'm going to invite you on again just before April 15th or something like that.
Okay.
Uh, to,
Okay.
to give some financial advice and just let the people see your face so that they can get some information on what it is that they need to do just before tax season, because this will help them save a lot of money. It'll help them save time and like a lot of stress and everything like that. I think this is really good. Oh my God,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Pleasure.
Oh
Thank you for having me, and
my God,
I'm
thank
glad to have
you.
you come back anytime. This has been great. I've had a great time.
Oh my God, thank you so much. And how can the people get in contact with you? How can they connect with you?
You can reach me online. Our website is
Mm-hmm.
nextstepfinancialpartners.com, or I am on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. YouTube, you can do Next Step Financial Partners. Brother Juan would be a good search. And also anchor.com, anchor.fm /Brother Juan. I have a podcast that I recently started, which I need to do more episodes, but we have those in the work. And
You
just
can
do a
invite
search. I'm
me.
easy to find. Say that
Invite
again.
me. Invite me to be your guest.
Yes,
I'll
and
be
so
a
I've
guest
been
with
thinking
you.
about that. I've been thinking about that because of my audience. Even looking at your show, I'm like, wow, this is a good way for me to provide value for my target market, and you being such a success in your story, even talking about, that missing piece that so many life coaches have, marketing. How do I get more clients? Something that they need to know. And so I'm going to get a copy of that book and I'm going to read it. And yeah, I have been thinking about having guests probably beginning this summer. And so your show provides me an example to structure my show after. And so I appreciate this opportunity because I'm learning so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I spoke to a nice young lady that I met on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
and her name is LaDonna Quest, and she's going to be my guest this week. And
Okay.
she's a paralegal, but she just started her podcast, and she has so many brilliant ideas. And I'd like to connect with her, and bring some of her ideas to the forefront and connect with some people, because I think you should start doing that too, Juan. Find
Yeah.
out find out who. Oh man, my hour's up. Okay. Thank you. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere.
All
Thank
right.
you so very much, everyone, for joining. Thank you so
Thank
very
you.
much, Juan, for being my guest.
My
Honor and
pleasure.
respect.
Thank you.
Honor and respect. Got your little crown on up there. Let me put your little crown on. Big respect, and we'll continue our discussion after the show. Okay.
All right.
All righty. Thank
Thank you
you.
for having me. Look forward to coming
You're
back soon.
welcome.
All
You're
right.
welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, let me just